He's delusional, my son argued, locking me in a cell. Mom's just mad, my grandson whimpered. Hours later I escaped. They'll regret that they did. I was standing in my kitchen, the sun streaming in as I made a pot of coffee by myself. The nice smell of brewing coffee began to spread throughout the large room. It had been about 2 years since my husband, James, died in a terrible accident, and I always felt a sense of solitude in the house. Another gorgeous day, I thought to myself. As I stared out the window, my eyes automatically moved towards the family pictures hanging on the wall. They're like scenes from a movie were pictures that showed my grandson Peter growing up. A picture of him as a baby, his first birthday when he was just starting to walk, his happy face the day he said his first words, that moment of pride when he started preschool. My gaze lingered on the latest picture. That visual record ended right there 6 months ago. How peculiar, I mumbled as I picked up my coffee mug. Peter's huge grin at his 3rd birthday party. That special picture with Santa at Christmas time. His enthusiasm during the Easter egg hunt. And then the final photo, 4-year-old Peter in the arms of my son David and his wife Rachel. After that, the photos just stopped. My gut feeling, something I developed over 35 years as head nurse in a children's ward at the General Hospital, told me something wasn't right. Those things that changed during the past 6 months couldn't just be a string of bad luck. The phone ringing broke the quiet of the morning. It was Helen, my closest friend who lived right across the street. Her voice, which was usually so upbeat, sounded strained. "Helen, what is it? And so early in the day." "Mary, I'm feeling uneasy about something I observed with David yesterday." Helen's voice was shaky. "What are you talking about?" "Very late last night, I witnessed David exiting a dark-colored van. Something seemed strange about him. His gaze was empty, as if he wasn't himself. And Mary's hands were trembling. I was so disturbed that I had to put my coffee cup down." Helen's statements instantly triggered all the baffling occurrences of the previous 6 months. The memory of that Sunday afternoon resurfaced as clearly as if it were yesterday. As the sun began to set, creating elongated shadows across the lawn, the family was having a barbecue. "Grandma, look at me." Peter was cycling around the yard on his new birthday bicycle. "Be careful, Peter, don't take a tumble." While I watched nervously, David softly nudged his son's back, offering me a comforting smile. "Don't stress so much, Mom. Peter's a big boy already." Rachel's upbeat voice echoed. Back then, I didn't understand that smile was hiding something. The table was filled with my homemade potato salad, Rachel's famous apple pie, David's perfectly grilled steaks, and Peter's favorite chocolate cake. We all thought that, although happy times would continue endlessly. Delicious. I love Grandma's cooking. His grandson's innocent grin was still a vibrant memory. The serene days started to deteriorate from something seemingly small. Weekend family gatherings unexpectedly called off. Phone calls going unreturned. Then Peter's sudden removal from preschool. The transformations happened slowly but steadily. Rachel's change was really noticeable. Her usually friendly grin disappeared and her eyes looked empty as she talked. "We're trying out a new therapy at the New Light Foundation. They're using a fresh method for teaching kids. There are some mysteries that modern science hasn't figured out yet." Helen's voice was still coming through the phone. "Mary, I could hear Rachel yelling last night. That black van has been showing up and leaving a lot lately too. Do you think we should report it?" Mary took a long, slow breath to calm herself down. Her instincts as a nurse were screaming danger. "Thanks, Helen. I'm headed over to David's house now." As I clicked the phone off, my heart was pounding. Something was going on with my family, the people I cherish most. And I might be the only one who can do something about it. The sun was starting to peek over the quiet neighborhood in Scottsdale. But no one could have known that this day would turn my whole life upside down. There was a picture of my 4-year-old Peter on the wall, his face displaying a cute, innocent smile. I should have seen the worry in his eyes earlier. That regret just cut into my heart. Dark clouds were hanging over the residential area of Scottsdale. I pulled up to my son's house. The white house that I knew so well looked strange somehow today. The grass was too long. The rose bushes next to the door were dying, and the marigold bed, which had been so beautiful just last week, was now covered in weeds. When David and Rachel moved in, I remembered Rachel saying with a smile, "I just love to garden." A chilling quietude enveloped me as I got out of my vehicle. The oak trees lining the houses rustled in the chilly breeze. Normally, the lively sounds of the kids in the neighborhood would be present at this time. But today it felt like time had stopped, submerged in stillness. I paused before reaching for the doorbell. All the window coverings were pulled shut. The drapes were sealed tightly, as if shutting out any connection to the world. "Rachel," I got no answer to my calls. For the last couple of years, those joyful times with my son's family had helped me deal with the sadness of losing my spouse. Sunday cookouts, Thanksgiving dinners, swapping gifts at Christmas. Those pleasant memories now felt like very far-off visions. I took out the extra key from my purse. When my son and his wife moved in, they had given it to me as a precaution. I never pictured myself utilizing it under these circumstances. My hand shook as I put the key in the lock. The struggle between reluctance to enter and the obligation to do something fought within me. And then the door swung open silently into a dimly lit entry hall. The atmosphere was stale. Holiday decorations were still hanging. "David, are you here, Peter?" My voice reverberated emptily. The sitting room was neat, but something felt off. Picture frames on the table were turned over, and there wasn't one toy anywhere. Then I heard a soft noise from the basement. My heart started racing. My gut feeling, sharpened by my 35 years of work in the nursing field, told me something was seriously wrong. I went down the steps, taking each one slowly so as not to make a sound. The door to the basement wasn't quite shut. Quiet crying could be heard coming from inside. "Peter." When I opened the door, I felt a chill run through me. In the shadowy part of the basement, I saw a small person chained up like an animal. His arms were covered in bruises. His back looked skeletal. His shoulders were shaking. It was Grandma. His small voice almost broke my heart. "Oh my goodness, Peter. Everything is all right. Grandma is here to save you." As I went to hug him, Peter flinched. "No, it's time for the medicine. They will get mad." Just then I heard the car pull up outside. Then doors opening and slamming. David and Rachel were back. I quickly grabbed my phone and called 911, but the footsteps coming down the stairs were quick. "Mom, what are you doing?" David's voice was strange and unfriendly. "David, what is all of this?" "Rachel, call the police." Mom's mental state is deteriorating. My son's eyes were like those of a person I didn't know. Behind him, Rachel took out her phone, sobbing as she explained that my mother-in-law was harassing them. "She's not right in the head." Police sirens got closer. Detective Rodriguez and Officer Mitchell were the first to show up. Before they could figure out what was going on, Officer Mitchell announced, "Mrs. Anderson, you're being taken into custody for trespassing." In the middle of all the commotion, Detective Rodriguez glanced towards the basement. A small amount of uncertainty showed on his face. It gave me just a little bit of hope in this horrific situation. The stark white walls of the Scottsdale police station's interrogation room bounced back the harsh fluorescent glare. I was seated in the rigid plastic chair, still unable to grasp the reason for my presence. Detective Rodriguez was positioned directly across from me. "Let's cover this again," he stated. His tone was controlled, though there was something unsettling in his stare. "I was deeply concerned about my son," Mary began, her voice shaky. Peter's personality shift. "My son and daughter-in-law's odd actions, and everything I saw down in the basement. Mrs. Anderson, you were a head nurse on the children's ward at St. Joseph's Hospital for 35 years, is that right?" Rodriguez's query seemed to veer off course. "Yes, but why are you asking? You must have encountered numerous cases of child abuse." My breath hitched. Detective Rodriguez's gaze was intensely searching, looking for the truth. "Yes, naturally, we were obligated to report them." "But this feels different," I insisted. "It's more than simple mistreatment, it's far more structured." Just then, a knock sounded on the interrogation room's door. Officer Mitchell leaned in. "Detective, the New Light Foundation representatives are here." Rodriguez's face seemed to harden momentarily. "Understood. Mrs. Anderson, please remain here," he said. After they departed, the room felt heavy with silence. The wall clock ticked with a loud rhythm. Moments later, voices floated in from the hallway. "This is definitely a misunderstanding," the voices declared. "Mrs. Anderson exhibits symptoms of schizophrenia. Our institution offers innovative care. Her son and his wife are very worried," the voices continued. My heart was pounding like crazy. The way they spoke was just too polished, like they'd practiced it. Suddenly my phone gave a little buzz. It was a text from Helen. "Mary, I've got some crucial news for you. Dr. Carter is willing to assist us." Dr. Carter was the kid's shrink over at St. Joseph's. She'd also been wondering about what the foundation was really up to. When Rodriguez walked back into the room for questioning, I could read everything in his face. "Mrs. Anderson is going to have to keep you here for a little while." There was an apologetic tone in his voice. "But Peter, there's not enough actual proof. David and his wife are saying you've been stalking them." As they moved me to observation, I passed this guy in the corridor who I knew worked for the foundation. His suit was spotless. His smile was absolutely perfect. But there wasn't any warmth in his eyes. The time in that cell felt like it would never end. Then things took a wild turn the next morning. "Mrs. Anderson, you have a visitor." It was Dr. Carter, and she was carrying a big, thick file. "Mary, please listen. We've discovered what the foundation really is." Dr. Carter sounded calm, but I could tell she was thrilled. "Over the last half year, I've seen these really bizarre cases at the hospital. Kids who came from rich families. They all had these abrupt shifts in their behavior, and they were all connected to the New Light Foundation." The file had records that mentioned the Seventh Foundation. It detailed deals with drug companies. There was proof of them using medications without permission. and there were papers that pointed out the financial ties to Rachel's family. This organization claims to focus on research for both mental and physical well-being. However, in truth, they're performing human drug experiments. My hands were trembling. Why would they target my loved ones? James, your husband's accident might not have been an accident at all. Dr. Carter's words sent a chill down my spine. 2 years prior, James, who used to be a cop, was looking into the Foundation's affairs on his own, and right before the accident, he had reached out to me. The memory flooded back. The day before the accident, he had gotten in touch with me. The memory replayed in my mind. James appeared uneasy the day of the accident. Mary, if something happens to me. Now I finally comprehend the significance of those words. We also possess some evidence Helen collected. Dr. Carter presented fresh photos, secret nighttime drug dosages, supplies being transported into underground areas, and proof of other individuals impacted. Detective Rodriguez has been assisting us in reality. He also had worries about the Foundation's power. At that moment, the detention cell door slid open. Detective Rodriguez walked in, grinning widely. "Mrs. Anderson, you're being set free." He stopped for a moment, then continued. "Would you be willing to aid us in examining the new Foundation?" Sunlight poured through the tiny window of the holding cell. The new daylight felt like a sign of promise. The FBI Child Protection's Special Investigation Office was filled with frenetic action, even though it was quite late. I participated in the planning session with Detective Rodriguez. Pictures of the victims were everywhere, and I could see my son David and my grandson Peter among them. A huge meeting has been organized by the New Light Foundation for tomorrow. Special Agent Sarah Jenkins showed us a building plan on the screen. "This is our only opportunity." Dr. Carter laid out some medical records, and then said, "The substances they're using disappear within 72 hours. David and the others were supposed to be confined in the facility for 3 days by now." This situation is an advantage for us. My heart was pounding. But Helen sat close to me, holding my hand, and said, "Don't worry. My friend is working inside as part of the cleaning crew. Peter's being watched in the infirmary on the 2nd floor. We've confirmed evidence of maltreatment. We finished going over the specifics of the mission. An FBI tactical squad will be entering from the front. Local police will be in place to secure the perimeter. Ambulances will be ready nearby. Anne. Mrs. Anderson, we have an important task for you." Detective Rodriguez spoke with a serious tone. "Mr. Thompson from the Foundation has asked to speak with you. He wants to talk about the treatment of your son and daughter-in-law." I took a deep breath. 35 years as a head nurse. How many tough situations had I seen through, but this time my own family was in danger. I understand. What do you need me to do? Keep Mr. Thompson in the conference room and make sure he stays there. While that's happening, the tactical team will. Suddenly, Helen's phone started ringing. There was an emergency. The Foundation has moved the meeting up. It begins tomorrow at 9 a.m. The room quickly became chaotic. But amidst all the pandemonium, Dr. spoke in a collected manner. Perhaps this situation could be beneficial. All of us watched her expectantly. An early meeting would likely attract less press coverage, and she directed our attention to the building's design on the screen. Around 9 in the morning, the building's defenses would be at their weakest. The strategy was quickly altered. We changed the schedule. Mary's appointment with Mr. Thompson would be at 8. The tactical team would move into position at 8:30. The raid would commence at 9. We had 6 hours remaining. Detective Rodriguez glanced at his watch. Everyone should get some rest while they could. However, no one made an effort to rest. Mary changed into her usual nurse's uniform at the police station locker room when the sun came up. Her stethoscope hung around her neck. The pen was in the pocket of her white coat. The attire was a reminder of 35 years of professional satisfaction. "Are you prepared?" Sarah Jenkins handed her a small recording device. Everything would be documented. We arrived at the Foundation headquarters at 7:55 a.m. The exterior of the building looked refined. However, it seemed like a dishonest facade when seen up close. "Mrs. Anderson, we were anticipating your arrival." Mr. Thompson's smile appeared to be forced. "You wish to talk about your son and his wife?" "Yes, I do have something to talk about." The discussion in the conference room began. The clock's ticking seemed to drag on. Thompson kept on talking and detailing everything. At 8:29 a.m., Mary's phone showed the prearranged signal. "I apologize, Mr. Thompson." Mary slowly stood up. "But that's enough of this charade." At that instant, alarms blared all over the building. Mary raced toward the infirmary amid the pandemonium. She rushed up the stairs. She ran down the corridor. Anne. My grandson, Peter, was shaking in that hospital bed. It was my dearest grandma calling out weakly. I could see a flicker of optimism returning to his eyes. Then a voice spoke from behind me. It was my son David standing there. His eyes, slowly clearing from the haze of the medication, showed a combination of being mixed up and understanding. David was there, I was so incredibly happy to have you back." David and his mother hugged, with Peter joining in. I heard that Foundation executives were being arrested outside, one after the other. However, that wasn't something Mary needed to focus on anymore. In that moment, what I wanted most was to hold my family close, the family I almost lost. The sun came streaming into the window as the new day began. In the children's ward at St. Joseph's Hospital, I found myself doing something different now. I found myself watching the 4 IV drips next to Peter's bed while he was sleeping. "Mom, I'll take over," David whispered as he opened the door. His face was starting to look more gentle again. "Thank you, but I'd like to stay for a bit longer." I smiled at my son while holding my grandson's small hand. It had already been a month. The new Light Foundation's fall had caused shockwaves through Scottsdale. More than 20 families had been affected, and the illegal activities with pharmaceutical companies kept being revealed. "Grandma," Peter mumbled and opened his eyes. The scared look was gone. "Good morning, brave boy," I murmured. I caressed my grandson's hair gently. His arm still showed bruises, but the wounds seemed to be getting better. Dr. Carter's treatment was very careful and going through detoxification. Taking care of my mental well-being and, above all, rebuilding my family's closeness. "David, how about we visit the park today?" "But Mom, everything's fine." "Peter, would you want to go?" His grandson's eyes sparkled with happiness. "Yes, I want to swing." These commonplace chats meant the world to me. Mary felt her heart swell with warmth. Sunlight from the spring was all over the park. David softly propelled Peter on the swing from behind. The picture was so similar to how things were before the tragedy struck. Even though everything was altered, everything was different. Rachel was arrested with her father waiting for the trial. David had started a new job researching at a pharmaceutical firm, and most significantly, our family relationships had become more robust and more significant. "Mary," Helen walked over, waving her hand. "The new support group is set to begin." After everything, Mary had evolved. I had begun assisting other families who had gone through the same thing. I put my 3.5 decades of experience as a nurse and my personal pain to work. The weekly meetings held in the church's meeting room had turned into a place where we could heal. "Thanks so much, Helen. I wouldn't have come this far without your support." The two ladies watched Peter play on the swing. Her former closest friend had turned into a fellow fighter. "James would have been proud of you." Mary gave a small nod, agreeing with Helen's statement. My husband's passing hadn't been an accident. Now that the truth was revealed, the case would be looked at again. But there's no hurry for that at the moment. What was really essential was my family in front of me, getting their smiles back. "Grandma, watch me." Peter leapt from the swing and raced over to me with enthusiasm. Holding him close, I could feel the tiny, rapid thump of my grandson's heart, the sheer significance of his existence. How utterly priceless this instant was. "Okay, time for some lunch. We're going to eat outside today." Mary's basket was packed with the familiar comforts of home. She had some potato salad that she made herself. David's favorite sandwiches were there too, and Peter would absolutely light up when he saw those chocolate cookies. Their lunch, just the three of them, was spread out in the sun, which was broken up by the leaves above. They chatted easily. They laughed softly. This, Mary knew deep down, was what true joy was about. I recalled the words Detective Rodriguez said when I left the police station. "Mrs. Anderson, you helped so many families." But it didn't quite fit. Really, it was Mary who had been rescued. A fresh breeze of the changing seasons blew over everything in the warm sunshine.